Hello and welcome to the Wargaming.net League Europe Season 4 Match Day 2. My name's Oliver Laughter Maxfield, and today I'm joined by Margus Magus Hecker. A guest as Lauren is feeling a little bit under the weather, so she can't join us. I mean, the weather in Germany is pretty atrocious. But generally, how are you feeling going into today's match days? Obviously, you've been watching at home and you're part of TCM Gaming. What's your general opinion been of Super Week?
Yeah, it's kind of exhausting. The training all day, then the match days, and you can't do something else. You're full focus on the games, and we're already thinking about the tactics for the next games. So it's really fun to do this, but yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah, I imagine as a team member, it's exhausting for us to having to cast the games and just talk about the games, let alone play it. But we can head over towards the rankings on eu.wgleague.net to have a little look how this Super Week has gone so far. Nice to see that TCM, your team, is sitting at the top. I'm sure we can all agree with that one. Kasna sitting in second, Drooling Leprechaun in third, but obviously the likes of Virtus Pro, Denial, Steel School Bus, C-Play, FreeFall, Lucky Cracky have only had one game so far. So generally, how are you feeling about these rankings? Are you happy with the way that the league is shaping up? Who do you think is going to be our top teams at the end, maybe even the middle of the season?
Yeah, actually, I'm super happy with the leagues. We start with 2 victories for our team, and I think we will see the typical teams on the top 6. Like it will be the School Bus, the old Dignitas team, Virtus Pro for sure. It's a top 2 team. Then Denial, former Mouseboards or Lemming Train. So I think we will see the usual faces on the top of the table.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think as we go through everything, we're going to patter out a little bit like we've seen it before. But we can have a little recap of yesterday's games. It started with Drooling Leprechauns versus Evil Panda Squad. Quite an interesting result, actually. Evil Panda Squad has been around for a while. Remember, back to Gamescom, they actually came second. But Drooling Leprechauns managed to win that last map on Ensk, and I think they can be pretty proud of this one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think EPS changed also a lot of players. I mean, I stopped playing, and Sinef were leaving, and Sony as well. So it is not the same EPS like in the first 3 seasons, but still they got the big name, and Drooling Leprechauns, yeah, nobody knows him basically, but still they got few players from Spale, and Spale was also all in time in the Pro League. So
yeah, I agree. They've obviously got Muppety in there, who's extremely strong. But next matchup was TCM versus Asuba. A good result, 3-0 result for TCM. That's really went as perfectly as you could ask.
Yeah, it was a perfect run. We had some trouble in the first game against Finnish guys from the Leprechauns. But yeah, we managed to win, and now we are good in the season. 2 victories at the beginning. Like I say, we couldn't start better.
Certainly couldn't. And last of the day was Wusa, of course, the German team versus the Serbian Kazna crew, now sporting God Runes, aka Runes, aka German Brait, and of course Elian now in the lineup. I've wanted to get the top players' opinions on Elian moving from Lemming Train, which is now Denial eSports, to Kazna crew. How do you think that's going to affect the team as a whole?
Elian is a really strong player. I mean, we will later go to the stats. He's leading actually in the league stats. He's definitely one of the best players, maybe the best player actually in the league, and yeah, he can decide the battles, and it was really lucky for Kastner that they could catch him, and yeah, that he joined them.
Yeah, talking about the statistics, obviously on eu.wgleague.net, which is this website I'm on right now. You can check out all the statistics, if I can speak, so many S's in that, on this website. You can just head over to rankings and then Hall of Fame. You can sort it by damage, targets, enemies, base capture points, defense points, battles fought. If we head over to damage, Elian sitting there with almost 15k at the top. We'll have to see how obviously that shapes up now. We're seeing the Russians come in with School Bus and Virtus Pro today, so that could change up as well.
Yeah, but still he was one of the top players, and yeah, he deserves the slot, definitely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. But just looking at today's games again, it's going to be FreeFall versus Denial eSports. Obviously, Denial eSports without Elian. FreeFall, a new Finnish team coming in and joining us for this season. What's your general opinion on that first matchup?
I think that FreeFall will have really a hard time. I mean, I was talking with Wilkie a few days ago, and they want to stay in the league, but they didn't expect to go to offline. Sure, they want to try, but yeah, it's their first season here in the Pro League. It's different in A Series or a Silver League now. So they just want to have fun, enjoy the league, and try their best. But I don't think that they expect to win today against Denial.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think FreeFall, they need to find their feet first and, get that training going and get the rhythm going in their play in general. before they can really look for those first victories. Next up will be Polish team Lucky Kraki versus School Bus. Didn't have a very good set of games against Virtus Pro, although I think they were actually more impressive than we've seen them before in Season 1. What's your general opinion? I mean, obviously School Bus is the favoured going into that one, but do you think Lucky Kraki can maybe steal a couple of games now? Stalker and Povel are not in the lineup?
I don't really think so. I mean, Lucky Karaki was in the past, they were always on the bottom of the league, so they're not really the strongest lineup, but they had always really good games against the top 2 or top 3 teams. So in the previous seasons, it was always trouble to beat them, and it's not a free win. So I think School Bus have to play really, really on the best level. And after the brain behind the team basically was leaving, now Arklet is trying to lead it. The players decide a bit more in the team. So I think, yeah, they have to fight. Yeah,
they certainly do have to show their brawn in that matchup. Last today will be C-Play, the new German team coming in against Virtus Pro. C-Play had a pretty close game previously, and I think they maybe even be able to take a couple of games against Virtus Pro. School Bus was their previous matchup. What's your general opinion on that one?
I think that we will see a really close match. I mean, Virtus Pro is for sure the favorite in this matchup again, but C-Play against Schubas, you already mentioned it, it was really a close game, and it could be either ways for C-Play or for School Bus, and so I expect a really close game here.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that one the most. I think that's going to be an awesome game. C-Play's been training a lot, got a lot of good results going in, so I think for Virtus Pro they're going to have to fight. They've obviously got Povel in there, which is going to help them, the best player from School Bus. He moved across after the grand final, so I think generally that team is going to get stronger, but they still have to integrate him a little bit. But first of all, it's going to be FreeFall versus Denial eSports, so it's going to be a harder game for them. But if you do want to get your predictions in and just let us know what you think about the general matchups coming up for today, obviously head over to our social media outlets, facebook.com/WGLEU and twitter.com/WGLEU. Just let us know what's going on. And obviously you can tweet to me at LaughterWT and at Magas83 and let us know what you think these matchups going to head through. But just looking at this first matchup, we've got Denial eSports versus FreeFall. Prokhorov is going to be the first map. Your opinions? FreeFall, I think, were a little stronger on the city maps. I think it's easier for a new team to be good at city maps. So they might struggle against Denial eSports, which is a known team to be very good with those wolf packs on maps like Prokhorovka.
That's true, especially in Prokhorovka. Denial eSports is also in the past was one of the strongest teams. They beat nearly every team on Prokhorovka. It's really tough to beat them. And like you mentioned, also FreeFall is more on the city maps. They're better in the heavy fights. The coordination is a bit easier, and not every shell count that created like on the open maps with the 1390s and 69s. So it will be really tough for FreeFall to stay against Denial eSport. I expect FreeFall, especially on the first round Prokhorovka, a bit more defensive play style to just get into the game, check out how is Denial acting, and playing a bit more passive and trying to basically survive in the first round, so don't go in a clear wash 3-0 or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. About the players going in, do you think are there any star players for FreeFall? Who do you want to look towards to being the playmakers in this one?
Everson and Largo, I would say, are the better players for FreeFall. Wilke, the captain, for sure. He's the brain behind it. But yeah, in general, I mean, if you go through the lineup, all new players, or nearly all new players to the Pro League. So I think they can maybe surprise us in few games in the league, but yeah, they're just trying to get more experience, trying to get into the league.
Yeah, I think FreeFall, they need to get that synergy still. They need to make sure that they have those players going in and making sure they have the ability to win maps and not just throw games at the end. Even if they are winning, that's often a sign of an inexperienced team. And just looking at these statistics, you can see FreeFall are pretty strong. I mean, these statistics are obviously a bit arbitrary. They don't change, but they give you a general idea of how the team is put together. Do you agree with this generally? Do you think, their decision-making lacking a little bit? Aggressiveness, though, is still there. It's certainly held true in the first matchup.
Yeah, I think aggressiveness is normally more on the side of the Finnish teams. And I mean, everyone remembers Spale in the past seasons, how aggressive they're playing. And FreeFall is the training partner of them all the time. So I would say they're a bit more aggressive. But the problem is, if you're new to the league and playing against the best teams in the world, you can't play the aggressive, dominating game style, because you have just to catch some atmosphere in the league and try to find out what is possible and what not. And yeah, I think that's the point why they're aggressive, not like they should be.
Yeah, I think you have to make the right decisions. You can't just be aggressive for the sake of it, which is sometimes I felt what Strala was doing. You mentioned another Finnish team, sister team of FreeFall. Now looking at Denali eSports, the Polish team, as I said, without Elian, decision making still pretty high. I think the accuracy lacking a little bit. They sometimes have been likened to not being able to hit very much, which I think is fair enough. Had a good run at the grand finals, and so far they've looked strong against Wusa, a team that camped very hard back, and they still managed to break that camp. What's your opinion on these guys here?
Yeah, the Nine eSports is one of the best teams for sure in Europe. I think on every offline event, the players, they got so much experience in playing so long together. Sure, Alien, it's hard for them to compensate that, but yeah, they got also Maturius as new player, they got Xynef as new player, so I think they can compensate that, and yeah, they're the clear favorites also for me in the top 3 for the league.
Yeah, they are going to be the favourites going in against FreeFall. We have got the tanks locked in, and first map, as I mentioned, will be Prokhorovka. We got a T32, double AMX 3090, double T69, double T1. That's for FreeFall, and for Denali eSports, a little bit more of a classic lineup: triple AMX 3090, Pershing, and T69. What's your more favoured lineup going into Prokhorovka?
The Denali eSport lineup with the Pershing and the 69. You can go for the middle area. 3090s are really fast and maneuverable. You can go wherever you want on the map. And with the T32, you got only basically 2 options. You go for the middle, for the brawl in the beginning, trying to play with the turret, or you go for the city side. Yeah.
So let's get ready for our first map, or our first match day. It's going to be Prokhorovka. So, welcome to our first map. It will be from the north.
Looks like a restart,
Denali eSports, but yeah, indeed, everyone's kind of just sitting about. So I imagine it's going to be a restart here. So we might as well just head back to Garage, and obviously get this map underway once we've completed that. So back to Garage. A little bit of a false start here, unfortunately. I think one of the players did drop. Not sure who was that, but obviously we have our admin on the case, making sure that everything is going to be smoothened out and we can quickly get underway in our first map. But looking at that, Denali eSports was starting from the north, and FreeFall was starting from the south on that one. Personally, I actually prefer the northern side these days. Although it is kind of hard to get that initial middle area. From the south, you can kind of get behind the rocks, I think, a little easier, and you've got those bushes there. What's your preferred side?
My preferred side is also the north side. It's easier to hold the mid area, especially if you're going for the open, for the 1-2 line, and it's easier to get into the game. From south, you got some troubles. If you want to go to this area, it's easier to go into the city side and defend with the T32. Yeah, the area, I think it's a 6 line or 5 line, directly next to the railway on the left. And yeah, you can defend there with the T32 pretty well. But yeah, you're also really open if the 3090s from the enemy team going down the 1-2 line can shoot you from behind. So it's really tricky to survive the start from the south.
Yeah, it's certainly hard, and you often see teams go over towards the village a little bit more, and maybe just go for the cover as much as they can. That's probably why FreeFall, well, they picked a T32, so I think they might be looking towards getting that middle area. I mean, the T32 is a little bit slow to head over towards the village at the beginning. You know, you have to drive over that hill, the train track. So I think maybe they're looking for that dominance towards the left side of the map a little bit. But we're just waiting. I believe it was. I think it was. We're ready to join. It was one of the Denali eSports players. He dropped out on this one, so we're going to be quickly getting underway.
But if you go back to Prokhorovka with the T32 from the south, you basically have to send him to the city in the beginning, because if the enemy team playing really aggressive, they can shoot the T32. before
True.
he just arrived at a safe position and can play with the turret. And Denial eSport know that they can kill the T32 really in the beginning if they play super aggressive on the 1-2 line.
But they can also kill the T32 if it's trying to drive over that hill. Well, they can get at least a couple of shots with the T69s, for instance, or the AMX3090s. Maybe if they have reload. Depends where the T32 spawns. If it spawns all over towards that left side, the tree road, then it's going to take a long time, and I guess that comes into the equation. But I believe we have everyone back into the game, so we should be underway again. And all I can say for FreeFall is that they need to keep. They need to keep on going. They need to make sure that they're not stopping. They're not letting Denial eSports use those wolf packs of the MX3090s. They've got 3 of them in this one. Don't let themselves get surrounded. And I honestly think the T69s of Denial eSports are going to be the biggest threat for them. So try and avoid the damage from that.
Exactly, and they have to cover the T32 in the beginning to get them in a position that the T32 can carry them in the late game, mid game. But in the beginning they have to play for the player, and they also need a good spawn. With a bad spawn and a good spawn of the 69 the Pershing from Denial, it will be really a tough time for him. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough matchup for FreeFall. But a test for FreeFall as well. They are a new team, and they need these these top teams who've performed so well. I mean, for instance, Denial eSports' Mouse Sports' Lemming Train. They've come 3rd, they've come 4th. In the previous season, Season 3, they came 3rd. So that was an impressive game against GG Well Played, previously Denova. So they are a good side, and they do need to make sure that they get this experience against these top teams. But we are pretty much ready to get underway finally into our first match. The first map was first round, I guess, was a drop. One of the players dropped. So again, it's going to be from the north, Denial eSports, and from the south, it's going to be a FreeFall. So going to be an interesting start for them. What do you expect for FreeFall to do?
FreeFall, I expected them to go to the city side because the T32 had a really good spawn, but he directly drive across to the 2-3 line, so it looks like they want going for the clash, playing aggressive in the mid area.
Yeah, it certainly does. I have to wait and see if that clash does actually end up going down. But for at least Denial eSports, they're playing the kind of standard start. You've got the AMX3090s going in the middle. Butcher in support, though. Not the greatest tank in the world to do that. Everson just try and land that first shot onto Poto Mako. Doesn't connect it near Pizzorni, and Materius there in support with those T69s going to try and deal some damage of their own.
I think Denial is a bit surprised now after they do the spot run that the guys from FreeFall don't go for the city side and playing so aggressive all over the middle. And they don't go more aggressive. The T32 is really in the open actually, and it should be easy for them to play a bit more aggressive and deal some damage, land some first shells. But Sampa is now in position, can play with the turret, and nothing special happened from Denial so far.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't spot it out quick enough. They thought it would be going towards the city, and I honestly did think that's what exactly the T32 would go. I think that's exactly the position he would go. Poto Mako just takes a glancing shell there to his tracks. Very lucky. I believe that was probably heat. Obviously, spaced armor. Tracks are now spaced armor, so heat doesn't do any damage to them. But yeah, I think the T32 now in position, it's going to be harder for Denial eSports to find an angle onto it. The T32's got so much mantlet armor, 298mm. The T69 and the MX3090s with 250 and less penetration on those guns, it's going to be hard for them to do. But what do you think Denial eSports has to do to take down that T32?
I think actually they need more information. They didn't spot all tanks. The T32 is actually spotted, but they need to collect more information where the position is. Materials get now 1 shell here. I think it was from a 69 and another one.
It wasn't clever stuff from him. He was a little bit greedy in there.
Yeah, I think they're trying actually to collect more information. They need the information. Where's the T32? And again, they're losing a lot of hit points for nothing just to cross over in this, and to go for the city side. I think they want to avoid the T32 and trying to bait the light tanks on the side on the 7-0 line, and that's the goal behind.
Yeah, I think that maybe wasn't worth it. It lost about, I don't know, 4, 5, maybe 600 HP there in that little exchange. Wilkie does take 1 shot, as does Morning Wolf in the T69 and the AMX3090, but it's a small price to pay considering how much damage they did to Denial eSports. But then again, Denial eSports now has that village. They can start to cross around. They can start getting the information you were talking about. Maybe once they have that, we still got plenty of time left on the clock. They can start going forwards, but FreeFall, they've pretty much set up where they want to be, and they're kind of just waiting for Denial eSports to collapse.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they got no the spotting information, so FreeFall got much more information about Denial instead of Denial got from FreeFall. So they could normally act now. Going forward from the 1-2 line, the T-32 is in a good position to cover them here. And just in the moment, again, he starts to move and trying to clear this area, trying to find maybe Carmon and his T1 to get them blind, and Denial have no vision then anymore. So I think it's a good choice here from FreeFall to play a bit more aggressive, and that's also the style they normally play, this aggressive game style. And that's the way they can maybe do something against Denial here in Prokhorovka.
And both teams now losing a tier 1 snip going down for Denial, and Juku 123 going down for FreeFall. So that's cancelled each other out. Butcher doesn't manage to land that shell onto the final tier 1 of FreeFall. Psycho Mike sitting up in K7, K8. Spots going out more and more. Personally, I'd prefer to be in FreeFall's position because I think they got the stronger hull down tanks with the T-32. Denial's got the Pershing, which has got great penetration, but he hasn't got the speed, and it doesn't have enough armor on that turret to really fend off the T-32s and the T-69s for very long. So it's going to have to rotate around and not go for the one-on-one engagement.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it looks like the hit point score is now even again because Morning Wolf get 2 shells as well. I don't like that FreeFall is trying to figure out if they are still in the city. They got the vision from the T1 in the mid area, so they get spotted anyways. There's a 3090 in the south area who can spot. So there's no need to go aggressive with the 69th in the middle and risk to get shells. And now another shell. So play more defensive here with the 69, don't lose so many hit points and wait for the fight, and play only with the T-32. So losing hit points for nothing here because they didn't earn any new information for risking the shells.
Yeah, you've got to put that T-32 in action, especially where it's best suited, which is here. You know, T-32, great hull down tank, and you need to be using it in this stage of the game. And Potomako is finding some good connections onto FreeFall from behind if he can. And this is what Denial plays. This is their game style. Peeking, doing the damage, and then just getting back again until they've got that advantage to go forwards and just finish it all off.
Yeah, and they're connecting shell by shell, and Ponomako is doing also up here. And they're just slowly killing the tanks from FreeFall. Zompa is also down to 600 hit points. I mean, there's actually not really an option anymore for FreeFall to do an attack because they're too low on hit points. Only Argenti is on full hit points in the north. Xynev get now also 2 shells, so it's kind of even again from the hit point. But still, I think FreeFall lost the first shootouts here.
Yeah, they're certainly down on their luck now. Sompa 610, Everson also taking a shell. Wilkie 635, so similar to Sompa. As you said, I don't think their options are completely off the cards. I think they can still push if they do it right, because they have done some damage to Denial eSports here. Meritorious, near Pizzoni, Potomac, Zenith all receiving a few shells, if not more. But Denial eSports, I think it's only a matter of time before they push in. We know Prokhorovka is a huge map and it's got a lot of cover, a lot of bushes, so you need to be taking down that tier 1, which luckily is in a position where Denial eSports, if they did collapse on, they would be able to take down and they would prevent that draw from FreeFall.
That's true. And I also don't really like the position now from FreeFall because they are only in the south. They got absolutely no eyes in the north. Maybe the T-32 can spot something, but this vision range is also not that good. And there's a big hole in the defensive line for Denial Gaming if they attack from the north. And the T-32 got coated optics, so maybe the vision is good enough to spot them if they want to attack. But in the end it will be too late if they're going for the full push because they got a faster lineup compared to FreeFall.
Yeah, and Genti being a pretty risky plays right now, trying to get across the middle, but the famous tale of Denial eSports not managing to really hit anything is coming true, and Agenti gets across with no skin of his teeth, no skin off his knuckles, so he's okay, and he'll be able to do whatever he wants to do. But they have a little bit more resources committed from the south. They got double AMX 1390s, T69s towards there as well. But time is slowly running out for these two teams, and honestly I think Denial eSports has enough of an advantage maybe to push forwards, to make something happen here. I mean, Prokhorovka is a really campy map. It's one we don't really see too many wins on anymore because of the lack of artillery, but I don't see an option for FreeFall, but I do see options for Denial.
It's the same. I would say it's also, especially in the beginning, it was Denial got less information and they didn't spot so many tanks from FreeFall. FreeFall got information about every combat tank, and now it's different. FreeFall gets spotted all over the map Denial exactly know where they are, and only 2 tanks from them are spotted at the same time. So no, there's a new spot comes up, but you directly have to pay. So again, to get a hit from Butcher here, so it's definitely in favor from Denial. And they got 2 minutes left, and I think we will see soon the push. They can go with Carmen at the T1 behind on the hill, no chance for FreeFall to reach them, and then they will try to just collapse on them and focus them out. I mean, Potomaco and Butcher, I have an easy target with Sargenti here. He is really alone. The T-32 and the 69s are a bit far to land all the shells. So I think Denial will push any second.
Yeah, that T-32 just doesn't have the accuracy, I don't think, to really deal with Potomac and Butcher, and the reload not either. So 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the clock now to push. But Zenith not coming off the hill in the AMX 3090, maybe indicative of the fact that Denial doesn't want to actually try this. Although I don't think FreeFall would have really the time to kill Carmen in his tier 1, who's over in D8, D9 area. So they still have the option, still can go forwards, but with such a little amount of time, it's just a little bit annoying for me, because I can see the advantages these two teams have had throughout the map, but neither one has wanted to really use those advantages. I mean, what kind of things do they have to have presented to them to make them go forwards?
Exactly, yeah. I would say if it ends in a draw, it's kind of lost for Denial Esports. They had it in their hand to beat them. FreeFall had not really the option to attack in the end, because you lose so many hit points, especially the T-32, who have to carry the attack, was down to 610 hit points. So they have not really the option and the chance to attack. And Denial had everything. They got the spotted tanks, they got the position from every tank, they got enough hit points, they got tanks combined to focus the tanks from FreeFall out. So it's kind of lost, even if it's a draw for the team of Denial.
Yeah, and finally going to get some action. Butcher, Potomaco engaging a little bit onto Gent, who's down to about 60% HP, 10 seconds left on that clock. I believe this one at least will be a draw, and we'll be moving on to our next map. Obviously, the points now 0-0. We don't +1/+1 like the grand finals. So indeed, this one will be a draw. Neither team wanting to go forwards, despite the fact that maybe Denial definitely, well, I think, and you agree with me, that Denial had the advantage in this one. I think Denial should have come from the south. I mean, looking at that, the kind of tactics these two. I think at the beginning, FreeFall should have gone for the village with the T-32. That would have given them the advantage. But later in the game, Denial probably just have collapsed from the south.
Yeah, also the movement from the T-32 was a big problem of FreeFall. I mean, it was a risky move to cross all over the map to go to the left side. So if Denial pushed a bit more aggressive in the beginning, they had 3 shells for sure on the T-32. They were lucky to survive with the T-32, but then they didn't use them proper. They didn't play with the turret in the beginning. They used the 69s for scouting, lose hit points on the 69, and then the T-32 tried to relocate, get spotted, and lose also nearly 1k hit points.
Yeah, it would have been bad, but you know, I think you got to give it to FreeFall. They did do a bit of damage to Denial in that one. I don't think they had a particularly. It wasn't a walkover by any stretch of the imagination. But you know, we'll be moving on to our next map, Cliff, a new map coming into Season 4. We haven't had it in the Wargaming League Europe. Personally, I love the map. I think it's one of the better maps. What's your general opinion as a pro player on Cliff, both tactically and in terms of the balance?
I think Cliff is really one of the balanced maps. I would say with Himmelsdorf, these two maps are the best balanced maps. It's totally even. The big problem on Cliff is that you're a bit limited in your tactical options. You can go for the mid brawl in the beginning or play defensive and give the enemy the mid area. There's only these two options. It's not really working if you go 1-2 line or going around the 9-0 line around the lighthouse. That's not working. So you have to go for the brawl in the middle, and then it's all about focus and team play. That's why I really love to see teams like Navi on Cliff. Yeah,
the team play and their focus is just sublime. Awesome, so they manage to get this. Even when what I love about watching top teams on Cliff is quite often at one point in the engagement they're actually down on HP, maybe even down a tier 8 tank, but it doesn't really matter. Because they have just the ability to bring it back and get the right focus fire.
Exactly.
And I think that makes a big difference. I mean, we saw yesterday that Drooling Leprechauns were down at one point against FreeFall, against TCM. And it was so close for TCM to bring it and win it at the beginning. But Drooling Leprechauns, they had the better focus fire, in my opinion, at that point in the game, and they managed to bring it back. So for me, that's one of the reasons why I really love Cliff. But looking at the lineups from these two teams, for FreeFall, it's a Triple MX 3090 T69 Pershing double T1, and for Denial eSports, Triple AMX3090, Double T69, Double T1. So Denial's gone for the same lineup.
Yeah, I think that's the best lineup you can choose. You got the super fast 33090 to secure the mid area. You can maybe send one to the left small rock to if you start from the south or in the north in the base areas to snipe. But normally you go aggressive with the 33090, secure the mid area, and then the 69s arrive, and then you can go immediately for the push, or you try to go with the 3090s around the rock side and holding the mid area with the 69s. So I think it's the best lineup. With a Pershing in your lineup, you're limited in the speed, so it's hard to get him in a good place. It's the same. It's like a gamble, like on Prokhorovka, to use a T32 and driving across the road. It's like a gamble, so I prefer the 69s here more.
I mean, the 69's not that much slower than the Pershing. Obviously, the 69 has more speed, just a little bit more, which is all that matters really. 3 or 4 seconds more, and then you have just the real ability to do damage. You have the burst damage from the T178, and I think that's what really sets it apart. And I think another problem with the Pershing is the aim down time is just not that good, whereas the T69, you don't have to aim down on that first shot. You can just hope to hit it, and then once you get to that second shot, the 2.5 seconds between shots, you can actually aim and you get the shot down. So we're just ready to get into game. As I said, those are our 2 lineups. I believe FreeFall starting from the north, Denial from the south. What's your preferred starting position on Cliff?
South.
South?
Because
I think so as well.
1 or 2 seconds faster in the middle bush to spot the enemies. So you didn't have really a shooting advantage as the enemy playing the same aggressive style, but you got the 2 seconds earlier the vision in the mid, and also you got on the left side on the 3-4 line this the small rock area where you can hide one tank really good and snipe to the side. So the northern team have to react if you go with one tank to this area, and they can't play their normal game.
Yeah, I agree. So we're ready to get underway on our second map, Cliff. So, welcome to the second map, Denial eSports versus FreeFall. At the moment, everything's all even. It's drawn up so far. Neither team really coming away with any kind of real advantage to push forwards on Prokhorovka, meaning it's 0-0 heading into our second map, which will be Cliff. We've been discussing the lineups a little bit, looking at the kind of split off. Denial eSports are going to be faster towards the middle with those T69, and FreeFall are certainly going to be a little bit slower. But for at least Denial eSports, how is their start really shaping up?
Yeah, they're playing aggressive, going for the mid area, and they are trying to get the spotting advantage here. And FreeFall already going a bit more defensive, going for the left side here of the rock, and Bacha's playing super aggressive. That's the advantage you have. If you go from the south side, you can just go in, try to shoot. Yeah, you have to hit. That's what we're also talking about. Sometimes Denial eSport is lacking a bit of accuracy. Bacha misses shell, get one back from, I think it was Everson. So, yeah. Slightly in favor now from the positioning here for Denial eSports, because FreeFall have to be super defensive in the lighthouse area and can't play this mid area where Materials now is staying and waiting for FreeFall.
Yeah, and you know, Butcher also got his commander knocked out at the minute, so he's probably already blown his repair kit. And this is something I've always been wondering. As a player, I always kind of blow my medikit very quickly to repair one of the crew members. It doesn't matter if it's a radio operator or a commander. Usually maybe not a radio operator so much, but I want that brothers in arms, and I want that 5%. Do you think it's a good idea to blow something like a medikit on a commander, for instance? Yeah,
you should. Normally I use it immediately, because if your tank is done, you don't need it anymore. So use it directly in the beginning, and you're safe. But sometimes you don't use your medikit, so it's possible that you don't have a medikit on board on the tank. True. You can have 2 repair kits, obviously, a small one and a large one, the premium one and the normal one. So you've always got to keep that in mind. Potomako has found himself a good overview onto FreeFall. We've seen this a lot from Denial eSports. They like to get the upper ground. They've got to be careful because Potomako doesn't have good gun depression. Wilkie
does slowly but surely turn his turret towards Poto. All of pretty much FreeFall turning their turrets towards Potomaka. Yeah. But I think for FreeFall they have more support in the middle. Morning Wolf, Argenti, and I think the Pershing, now it's in that position, is a better tank than the T69 just to get the pot shots out. Doesn't have to worry about auto loading. Also got a lot more penetration, 268. So it can actually just tear through the turret of a T69 with absolutely no problem. But now Denial, FreeFall starting to rotate that AMX 3090. What options do FreeFall have at this stage, or maybe even going towards the end of the match?
Yeah, FreeFall was lucky again in the beginning that Denial didn't play that aggressive like I expected him to do. So the Pershing is now in a really good position to play with the turret, do the spotting job here, and I think it's now up to FreeFall to play a bit more aggressive, trying to deal some damage, trying to do something. They got Everson in a defensive position, so it takes some time to get into the fight. So if they want to attack, they have to do it more on the 3 line, I would say, and holding in with the Pershing and the 69 in the mid area, the combat line. So I would say they have to use at the moment the advantage of the position and trying to deal some damage to, you can't engage at the point now. You just have to deal damage to get the hit point advantage before you can go for the final push.
Yeah, and I think maybe Denali eSports in the better position. They've got Zenef in the normal place in the MX 3090. This has been a very interesting place that you don't often see tanks dying here, but you often see them losing a lot of HP, like 90-95% of the HP, just because of how high they're up and how many angles the other team can get on this AMX 3090 or whatever tank. Usually it is an AMX 3090 up there, but there we go. Another shell coming out, this time a heat shell landing into front of Everson. We've seen this position come out more and more. I'm not a massive fan of it. As you can see, Butcher is rotating that AMX 3090. He might be able to get some shells into the side of Everson, but he is going to be dropping down, so that's not going to be an option. Snip starting to go forward as T1, so slowly but surely Denali eSports are coming up with a plan, and it's only going to be really a matter of time before FreeFall has to react to this.
Exactly, but this was a good move now from Everson. You get the first shell, he was spotted there. Okay, they can go 1-2 line, I'm not really covered, so let's group up with my teammates. And it was, from the timing, it was perfectly from Everson. Now he can climb up here, is in better position, a bit more safe, and just in a second Butcher is in the small city at the D1 area, and he will get spotted by Zomba in the T1 soon, and then it's up to Everson to run on the high ground, and I think then they should go for the attack. Now he's spotted, Everson directly turns third, but I think that's not a good position for him to stay here, because Snip is also close, and I think the second 3090 will follow.
That was so close to Butcher, just grazing him as he goes past, and now we see the reaction on whether FreeFall actually commit any resources to try and deal with Butcher, and obviously Butcher will be able to do a lot of damage and put a lot of pressure onto FreeFall in the position he is. He maybe even flank you around, but he's going to be rotating back around, knowing that anytime FreeFall could actually commit something onto him. But then again, he might have actually created enough distraction for FreeFall to push forwards.
Yeah, but Materials shoot 2 times on Everson, didn't land a shell. I think if FreeFall want to win, they should push now, because Xynef is out of position, Butcher's out of position, and there is a push. That's the best thing you can do. Even if you lose a lot of hit points, you kill the guns.
Yeah, Psycho Mike and Argenti, 2 versus 1. Materius receiving a lot of damage going into the last one. He's going to go down first. So at the moment, tier 8 tank in the advantage for FreeFall. Perfect positioning for them. Nia Pizzoni next on the focus on the offenses, and at the moment FreeFall are doing very well. Amarax gets taken down, 2 tier 8 tanks down for the worst, and Butcher only just starting to get himself into the game. Potomaka goes down, and only Zenef and Butcher and those 2 AMX 3090s left, and no tanks down for FreeFall. Zenef trying to do as much as he can, but slowly but surely his HP is being worked out. Butcher coming in, finally doing some damage. Wilkie does fall for FreeFall, but at the same time Zenef goes down, and really Butcher, he's not really going to be much of a Butcher in this situation, as FreeFall reacting perfectly to the situation, reacting perfectly to where Butcher was and how out of position he was. He does fall, leaving only Carmen and Snip left in those 2 tier 1s.
Yeah, and they're trying to hide now, but there's no chance. 3 minutes 15 left. They will just go for the cap and beat it. And yeah, the timing was really good. That is the point. If you got 1 tank on the FG3 area on the top hill, he can't help you. He can shoot, but he is not able to share hit points. And then Butcher's second 3090 was spotted near the base area. So it's 3 combat tanks in the middle. You have to push. There's no other option. If you want to win, just cross over. I mean, they're losing 600 hit points and killing 3 combat tanks.
Yeah, that was perfect play from FreeFall. I really must admit it. What do you really think the reasoning for Butcher to go on that rotate then? Do you think it was any way it could have actually worked out for them?
Yeah, if Everson was still in the old position at the D4 area, they couldn't shoot him from behind, deal a lot of damage to him without getting damage. And I think that Denial Esports expected them to play a bit more passive and waiting for them, and didn't attack, like on Prokhorovka, staying behind, using the T-32 and Pershing, but don't move. And this time, yeah, you see that they also are able to move and play aggressive, and they perfectly read the game and know, okay, 2 tanks out of the combat area, we have to engage now. We're losing maybe some hit points, but we will kill definitely the combat tanks.
And finally, Carmen does go down. A win coming into FreeFall's favour, bringing the score up 1-0 to the finish, to the new team joining us for this season. An impressive display, and it's good to see that that a team maybe has some pressure on them. You know, obviously Denali Sports is a very terrifying team to come up against, and they managed to react to the situation and play perfectly. Just break down for us quickly how FreeFall made those decisions, and you know, did they do everything perfectly? Do they have things to work on? What was their general idea, and did they execute it right?
I would say on Cliff they did it nearly close to the perfect execution. They get spotted with Everson in the 69 on the D4 area, and immediately after that he dropped down and driving up, because okay, I'm not safe anymore.
Timing.
Yeah,
perfect
the timing was perfect. Then Butcher showed up, so they know, okay, we have to push. And he didn't try to shoot on Butcher. He did one shell, then they see, okay, Butcher's going safe. The call is going, we have to attack. We know Xynef is out of position, Butcher's out of position. 69 Everton join us, come together, 5 tanks pushing over. 3, I think, on the hill. 1 was on the lighthouse, it's a Pershing, and 1 was going around. And then the focus was also... There was not a single point of hit points lost by Denial East, but by the other 4 combat tanks, and 1 was eliminated, and the second, the third. Perfect timing, good shielding, everything was good.
And I have to say, Potomaca was even out of position. I mean, he was on the hill, which would have, I think, given FreeFall 5, maybe 10 seconds of more damage, and I think that's why they really only Wilkie went down for FreeFall. So, you know, 2 tanks, 2 AMX 3090s, being out of the positions, and that's really all it takes in this high level of play to win. So as I said before, FreeFall now leading Denial Esports 1-0 as we move on to our next map. It will be Steps, a map we're actually seeing a lot of more than we've seen before. It has some changes. Wargaming made some balance changes. Why are we seeing it more? We didn't really see it at the grand finals. We didn't see it in Season 3 and Season 2. Why are the teams starting to pick it up again?
I think Steps is known with the rebalance of the map. It's a bit better to play able. You can't really camp that much more in the hillsides and the base areas. It's it's changes were done. So it's getting more and more attractive to play. It's still an open map. It's basically like Prokhorovka. The main thing is you go in the beginning immediately to a clash and directly fight it out, or you go for the campy position and try to deal some damage, get the hit point advantage. So it's like a tactical game. You have to play first on Steps before you can engage. That's different to the city maps. But yeah, more and more teams really like to play with the 3090s and the light tanks, and more action, more movement.
Yeah, I think for Steps, you need to get the spots out first, maybe get as much information as you can. You really need to know where the team is it over towards the trench, over towards the left side, maybe camping in the base behind the rocks, especially for in the north. And then once you have that information, it's really a game of just cat and mouse, doing some damage, trying to get the advantage. And then once you have that, it's quite easy to push in and collapse on Steps. You know, often if you're playing in the trench, which we often see in these teams, is you just collapse, you go down, and you have the momentum behind you. So it's very good for teams who have a little bit of HP advantage to win. So triple MX 3090, double T69, double T1, again being picked up by Denial Esport. And for FreeFall, it's going to be the Pershing T69, double AMX, double T69, double AMX 3090, double T1. So not with the triple AMX 3090 this time, but very similar lineups we've seen before. And I think, you know, you described that's pretty much the best lineups we can have for this one. But who do you think has the advantage?
I think from the tanks, the advantage is again on the side of the Denial Esports, because they got 1 3090 more, so they're a bit better on the map control. But yeah, FreeFall showed us that they can use the Pershing on Cliff, so it will be really interesting. I expect them starting the south to go to the left side and hold the defensive line in this rocky area with the 269s and the Pershing, trying to get some spotting information with the 3090s. Don't lose too many hit points in the beginning, maybe can deal some damage before they start the push. And for Denial, I think they will go for the 8-9-0 line in the beginning.
So let's have a look at our next map video. It's going to be Steps. So, welcome into our third map, Denial eSports versus FreeFall. FreeFall 1-0 ahead at this point. Looking at the kind of aggressive push out from Denial eSports, what have they got in mind here? Zenith going for us to try and get some spots out. Meriterios and Niapazorni towards the left in the T69s. We haven't seen this for any team so far. What is their plan?
The plan is to go more aggressive. Sinef is in a spotting position and he get cover from the mid area. But again, FreeFall is doing something totally different like I expected from them. I expect them to going for the left side, and they're playing much more aggressive here and trying to go for the right side and going for the broad. I think that was the reason behind. They got the 269s in the Pershing, so they got more firepower in the long open fight here on the right side. So they hope that maybe Denial also go for the side to go for the clash in the beginning. Yeah, but Denial play for the mid area. That's untypical, really untypical from the positioning. And yeah, Xynef also now leaves the right side, so the whole team from Denial is on the left, the whole team from FreeFall is on the right side. And now it's all up to who deal more damage, who save the hit points better, and who get more information and spotting. So I think in the next 3 or 4 minutes we will see some small shootouts, but nothing special here. So no big pushes. I don't expect that.
Well, Butcher is pretty far ahead in that AMX 3090, creeping up into FreeFall's base. Just getting himself behind a rock, maybe looking for a tier 1. He wants to get rid of those tier 1s if FreeFall does go for the draw at the end of the map. But remember last time Denial eSports played on this map, it was against German team Rusa, and Rusa was just sitting, they had 2 AMX 5100s, 2 T32s and AMX 3090, so we didn't get to see Denial eSports' kind of tactics on this map so much because they were camping down so hard. But it does look like they have a plan this time around with 2 AMX 3090s now in the base near Pazzoni, also heading forwards in his T69, and it looks like what Denial wants to do is basically thread a kind of a sack over the FreeFall's positions and slowly but surely work in, as you said, do that damage. And how can FreeFall kind of stop Denial eSports from just kind of tightening the noose, I guess?
I think they have to play on one side. I would prefer actually the north side, a bit more aggressive, trying to kill the T1. I mean, obviously it must be a T1 in the A line or B area. So I think that's the best thing they can do. Just going aggressive with the 230-90s, trying to go over the railways, finding the T1, or do some pressure on Xynef, because they spotted nearly all tanks in the mid area in the road, and Xynef was in the north. He is not anymore there, but still for FreeFall they should expect it. So I think that's the way they can escape from this. Otherwise Denial eSport will come closer and closer and will get the chance to deal some damage. I mean, Butcher is already in a really good position there.
He's in a great position. He's still gonna be spotted, I think, if he does shoot, because he's got really no camo. He's got 1 bush and 30 to 40% camo, but obviously the bush will be negated once he shoots. But whether you can find an angle, as Morning Wolf does go unspotted there. He knows there's probably a tier 1 around here somewhere, but at the moment FreeFall completely unaware. Now, but having said that, Potomaco does get spotted by Juku123 in the tier 1, and at the moment maybe FreeFall has an idea of how to deal with Potomaco. Not sure if they think he's on a limb. He's obviously got Nia Pazzoni in support, but Potomacan has to rotate around, and I think FreeFall maybe even looking towards the base of Denial eSport now.
Yeah. And that's also the best thing I think they can do actually with Agenti, trying to figure out where's Xynef, where's Snip, and doing some small push in the north area, because they got more burst firepower with the 69s, and they got also on the long run the Pershing with a non-autoloader, so you can continue the firepower all the time. And I think they should try to make use of it. On the other side, they're leading 1-0, so they don't have to be super aggressive. They can just play it defensive and wait for Denial, because Denial have to do something.
Yeah, they are 1-0 ahead at this point in time. So if we do play all 5 maps and the score is still 1-0, I think that's pretty unlikely. FreeFall will go away for a win. Will go with the win here. And at the moment now, Denial eSport maybe coming from a different direction, hoping that FreeFall has kind of sown their ranks thin, trying to get rid of Denali Esports towards their base, and that maybe leaves some holes in their defenses, which will allow Meritorious, Protomako, and Nia Pazzoni in the T69s and the AMX 3090s to go in. Snip does get spotted and quickly scampers over that hill. Psycho Mike, though, has gone down for FreeFall, so 1 tier out of the game. Although I don't think tier 1s are that important on steps, it's a good bit of confidence for that team.
Yeah, they're not like important like on Himmelsdorf or some other maps here. It's okay if you lose one, it's not the best you can do. I mean, of course it's not good if you lose a team member, but yeah, you can compensate that more easier on this map than on others. And yeah, it looks like the Nile, expect now FreeFall to do something in the north after they show so many tanks in the south area, and waiting now for FreeFall. If FreeFall decide now to push in the north, and there was all 5 tanks here, yeah, they run totally in the defensive line from the team of Denial, and Denial got also 2 tanks in the south to start immediately the cap pressure.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that cap pressure does come down. As you said, FreeFall being very defensive. They know they're ahead already, so 4 minutes and 23 seconds left on the clock. Denali Esports do look like they have their fingers on the trigger, and they want to try something. Butcher now rotating around. He was in a fantastic position before, so my guess would be that Denali Esports have a plan in mind. Because they have rotated Butcher off the hill, there would be no other reason for him to come off the hill, because he was in such a fantastic position. So I have to wait and see what they have for this one. But I think Denali Esports, they have to win steps, because they are the better team on these open maps.
Exactly, and then I mean, after the only city maps are left, so they should try to get the point here and draw the score out. But yeah, Snip is going also for the south, so they got both T1s Denial in the south for the cap, and yeah, Butcher is going to the north. So it looks like they want to engage FreeFall in the north, trying to go for the brawl fight and going with the 2 T1s in cap. They got actually the T1 advantage, so there's only Yuko in his T1 against Carmon and Snip in the south, and if they are able to kill him without losing Carmon or Snip, FreeFall got big problems to reset the cap in time, and yeah.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 17 seconds left. Nia Pazzoni now on reload, 25 seconds left there. Snip does get spotted out though, trying to cross the open, but nothing to deal with him from FreeFall's side, so he'll be able to get away with that one scot-free. Zenef now on the rotate with the AMX 3090, and this is probably going to be the collapse, probably going to be the start of something for Denali Esports.
Yeah, but the Nile eSport is still with all combat tanks in the north, only the T1s in the south, and yeah, FreeFall is going now with all tanks back to the south, so it looks like they're expecting that.
That's because Snip was spotted, I guess.
Yeah, I think Snip was spotted, so expecting they're going for the cap soon. They got the 2 T1s, Carmen was also spotted before, and yeah, they don't want to risk to get capped. Oh, and there's a kill on Snip. Nice shot here from Wilkie, fast shot, and yeah, he snapshotted him. So now is our time for the Nile eSport to push in the north. 2.5 minutes left, should be enough on steps to kill all the combat tanks. So
yeah, certainly with Psycho Mike going down in that tier 1 as well. But now you can see FreeFall are starting to rotate around, and I think Denali Esports might be in the better positions.
Yeah, I think also Denali got a better position. Wilke is now in a more aggressive position, spotted 3 combat tanks, so they are aware now what will be happen soon. Morning Wolf is in position with the Pershing, and now they can wait for the Nile eSport to push in. And yeah, the first hit on the Pujani is done, and another one. Good focus fire again here from FreeFall. I have to point that out again. Their focus fires pretty well.
Yeah, that's one of the things they've definitely been training. But Potomaku, Zenef now having a crack onto Argenti. No shells connecting though. 3 shot or 4 shot. Butcher does come in support. He was sitting back a little bit now. But at the moment, Denali Esports on the back foot in terms of HP. Nia Pazzoni down to 1133, and Meritorious in that T69 down even further to 884. So he has to be a little bit careful. And now we actually see the rotate finally. Butcher, Potomaku going first. Potomaku, remember, and Butcher didn't shoot the least amount of shells. Everson does connect a lot of shells, but Butcher's going to be there, the absolute damage dealer. Everson first target, a bit of a bad focus fire coming out for Denali Esports. Zenef finally getting himself into the fight. Everson down to about 40 HP. Argenti now comes down the corner. This could be disastrous for Zenef. He does have to rotate back out of there. Potomaku does do a heat load of damage, but the focus fire is atrocious from Denali Esports. Butcher unscathed, only receiving 1 shell. We can also see Nia Pazzoni and Materius on the top trying to do something as they can, but the reload's not in their favour. Everson down to a smidgen of HP. Can they do the final blow? But Butcher does. Potomaku even goes down. Zenith falls behind him. And now it could be disastrous for Denali Esports. Butcher now on reload. Nia Pozzoni probably still on reload. And Materius has to try and do some damage. He has to try and take down Everson. Otherwise, this could be a 2-0. 35 seconds left.
And there's a kill on Everson. So it's still 3-on-3. The hit points are totally in favor here from FreeFall. The only good thing is that Carmon is far out of position to catch them. So they can just lose the brawl here in the 2-2 Morning Wolf. And so much more B and Zompa and Pozzoni and Butcher are really low. They have to run, but only 20 seconds left. And I think Carmon will save the day here for Denial Esports. If they had to lose the Carmon or he was spotted earlier, I think they had no chance here to beat FreeFall.
Yeah, that was some great shooting by Nia Pozzoni onto the side. Butcher's probably going to be able to finish on Sompo. It does bounce there. 244 penetration is not particularly much, but second shell will connect. That's obviously a Pershing, so he will have to reload. But that's it. Game over, and it's going to be another draw. 2,046 damage done by Nia Pozzoni in that T69. But what do you think went wrong for Denali Sport in that push?
Yeah, they were a bit out of position. They would go a bit closer, but Wilkie again spotted them too early, so they were not in a position where they could engage. And then FreeFall, no, okay, we stop here. We got a good position, especially with the 69 at this corner. They could shoot perfectly on the guys from Denial Esport without getting that much damage back. So I think the positioning was not good. The timing was okay to push from the north. 2.5 minutes was more than enough. That the map control, though, no single tank could escape. So if they won the heavy fight, the combating fight, the T1s can't run. Carmen was in a good position. If someone wanted to escape, he would spotted him. But yeah, the timing from the push didn't fit in the movement from FreeFall. So they were a bit too late or too early. You can say like whatever you want. They missed the point of attack, and then FreeFall got better position and played it clever. Yeah,
and I think I said this before and previously on steps. I think the better idea would have been to send those 3 MX-3090s above instead of going below, and have those T69s just in support on that ridge line. So you send the MX-3090s behind to deal the damage, and obviously the Pershing it has a slow turret traverse. T69, not a great turret traverse either. So I always think that's a better idea. Then you can use those T69s to go forwards, but it was just, again, we have hindsight 60 is 2020, but we can obviously see both sides on the mini map as well, so we can see where the teams are. So it was a call by Denial Esport, but maybe even the best one they could have done with the information they had, but at the end of the day, it just didn't work out. So it was going to be a draw. Our next map is going to be on Mines. I believe this one is I think, fourth map, yeah. So FreeFall winning 1-0. We've still got a couple of maps to go. Denali Sport have impressed me on Mines before. They've actually brought out some strange lineups with the IS3s, but do you think Denali Sport can finally beat FreeFall? Because at the moment, FreeFall are just being the better team.
Yeah, on the last 2 maps, definitely FreeFall was playing better focus fire, and all in all, just a better team, I would say. And Denial have to beat them on Mines, otherwise there's only a draw possible, and that was, I would say, already a draw was a big upset for Denial Esport if they don't be able to beat FreeFall. Yeah,
FreeFall is a new team to the league. They haven't got very much experience. They qualified second in A series, directly qualified in, so they aren't the most experienced team in the world. FreeFall, Denali Sport, obviously they've come 3 seasons in the Wargaming League. They came to the grand finals in Warsaw, Poland, and did quite well there. Actually, top 5 in the world finish. Good result for them all around, and they should be able to beat FreeFall, as I said, a completely new team. We're on a quick 2-minute bio break for Denali Sports. So you said this is last chance saloon for Denali Sports. Obviously, the next map will be the last one, and that will only be able to draw for them, and you say that's going to be a loss. I think Denali Sport are going to bring this one home, though. I think they've had a lot of problems, maybe some miscommunications on the previous maps. What do you think they have to do, though, to bring it? Do you think it's going to be a split push? Do you think they're going to be looking towards that hill?
I think they have to go for the hill first. I'm actually not sure if they're starting from the north or from the south. Actually, it looks like they're starting from the south. So typical play from the Nile eSport is going over the island with the 1390 and playing a bit more defensive in the mid area, so leaving the hill free, but they have to catch the hill at one point if they want to win the game. So maybe we will see first a small split to the left and to the right. Only the T1 will spot the mid area, the hill, and then after 2 or 3 minutes they will go over the island if it's there's an option, or they're going for the hillside. And I expect we will see definitely at least one heavy tank now on the side of the Nile eSport.
Yeah, I think they're going to pick probably a T32.
Yeah.
The strange thing for me is that the 5100 was from the south, the actual heavy tank of choice, the tier 8 French heavy tank. That has changed now from Season 2, Season 3, saw it less and less. Why is that change happen? Why is the T32, which didn't really feature last year that much, only towards the end of Season 3, why has that tank come back and joined us?
I think you need the turret. You can play more and more with the turret. A lot of maps get changed, so the balancing was also a bit changed. In the past, the maps were more flat, so you could use the 5100 better, because you can just shoot straight on 6 shells, do a lot of damage. And now you got more hull down positions, more hill positions, so it's better for the T32 to play for the turret. Also, the game switched a bit to trying to find out where the enemy going forward, and not this aggressive pushing anymore like we saw in the previous season, where you just go forward with 2 or 3 5100s trying to go for the shootout. Now you play a bit more tactical, trying to catch more information, go more for the late game and the final push, and then you need the T32 to deal continual damage and never empty. Every 8 seconds, 9 seconds you can shoot. So
yeah, it was, it's kind of strange actually, because the game changes so much. Previously, it was all about that brawl at the beginning, and now it's changed around again, and we've got the more information game coming in. But looking at the lineups, these two have now locked in for FreeFall. IS3, T32, T69, double AMX 3090, double T1. Strange old lineup from them. And for Denali eSports, we've got triple AMX 3090, IS3, and imagine that last one's going to be a T69 as it's near Pazzoni, and a double T1, double IS3. So they are going back to their old lineup, Denali eSports. Yeah. Couple of really strange sets of tanks. Just quickly give us a rundown of why you think they've taken these.
If you want to go for the mid area, you need the alpha damage of the IS3s to go in a good position. Yeah. And there's one small area, if you go from the south, where you can shoot on the rock side, on the upper side of the hill, and also cross over to the left and to the base. And in the close combat, the IS3 is really good against fast and light tanks like a 1390 and 69s. They're bouncing so many shells. If you want to kill 2 IS3s, you need at least 3 or 4 revolver guns.
It's insane.
Yeah. And if you got 2 IS3s, it's awesome to deal with a fast and light setup.
So, ready to get into our 4th map. It's going to be Mines. So, welcome back to our 4th map of the first matchup, FreeFall's versus Denali eSport. At the moment, FreeFall winning 1-0. We're 4 rounds in, we've got 1 round to go, so Denali eSport, if they don't want to draw it out, at least they have to take this one, starting from the south on Mines and FreeFall starting from the north. And we can already see Denali eSport starting to head towards that hill with the 2 AMX 1390s.
Exactly the same for the guys from FreeFall. They're pushing to the mid area, and I think we will see maybe a fast shootout with the IS3 style in the beginning, trying to get all tanks in position. Ooh. And doing a fast game instead of a slow game. We saw so many slow games and slow-paced game. Maybe that's the action now we needed here. And Butcher to get the first shell, dropping down to 600. Again, he also get 1 shell, and now they're waiting for the reload. The 1390s are not reloaded. They're reloaded any second, and then we will see the clash. But FreeFall noticed, okay, we can't win in. We are 2 on 3 on the hill. We have to run now, and they're going for the IS3 here.
Oh, this is terrible news for FreeFall. Argenti's already taken so much damage, but there's not really any tanks in the right position, and they are going to be focusing on to Materius, who's absolutely an absolute beast and absorbs so much damage. Wilkie does go down. Materius finally getting killed, as you can see. FreeFall starting to come off the hill. Everson next target for Denali eSports. Sompo's also very low. Zenef does join the party, finally backed up by Proto Mako. Everson goes real low, down to about 5%. Snip trying to do some damage in that tier 1. Zenef next target for FreeFall near Pazzoni, starting to head up in that IS3 on to Morning Wolf, and maybe trying to land some damage with that BL9 122mm. And Zenef does go down, but Denali Sports firmly in the driving seat.
Yeah, Potomaco is out of position. He dropped down. He's on reload. Wilkie will reload it faster, but there's a T-32 fighting against an IS-3. I got more alpha damage. It's all about if he got a higher or low roll now. Carmen tried to shoot Nippozoni as well, but Wilkie is now reload and joined the fight, and Potomaco is out of position. If they are able to save the T-32 long enough, and Wilkie go for the reload, I think there's no chance for Potomaco to kill these two guys. Carmon trying to deal some damage, maybe said Wilkie can fire, it didn't work out. Morning Wolf have to save the shell. He can't really shoot on the T1s because Potomaco is on the run to beat them, and Snip doing a good job. Now they need also Psycho and Yoku to help them to kill Snip because they have to focus on Potomaco. Potomaco is reloaded now and going for Wilkie.
Yeah, Wilkie, I think that's a good choice from him. I'm not sure if he's really going to be able to do it. He does miss that first shell. I think Morning Wolf will just have to go down for Potomaco to manage to win this one, and then he has to run away because Wilkie's already come off reload. I'm not sure if Wilkie's actually got that 75mm. Does track him, so that's good stuff, and that you can already see the cap going down. For 1 minute and 25 seconds left on that Circa Mike, trying to do as much distraction as he can
the fight.
for the side of FreeFall, and Potomaco finally does get out of there. Wilkie might land a couple of shells if he can, but this looks like it's going to be a FreeFall win.
I think the same, and as well Wilkie is reloaded a few seconds faster than Potomaco, and Potomaco is less on hit points. It's 450 to 800, and there's a shell from Potomaco on Wilkie. Another one. The question is how many shells he got left. I think he's empty now.
He's out. Yeah. He's out, and Wilkie will have to reload very quickly. I think he's going to be able to do the final shell. Potomaco's just not in the right position. One more is going to take him down. It does. He goes down. Potomaco dropping for Denali Sport. FreeFall taking the score up to 2-0. Wow, what a game. Wow, I honestly thought Denali Sports had that one in the bag when those AMX 39s had to rotate off the hill.
Yeah.
But those reloads.
Yeah, it was a really clever move from FreeFall. Okay, we're going to the hill, 3 against 2, that will not work out. So we're going back and dropping immediately on the IS-3. And the first IS-3 directly basically explode because 5 tanks from FreeFall pushing over. It was something like we saw on Cliff before. A little mismovement from the Nile spot. 2 tanks or 3 tanks a bit out of position, only a few seconds, but that's enough to push over, kill 1 tank, 5 against 4 guns, and then it's really easy to finish up the game.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I think
really impressive.
I think the only way Denali Sport would have been able to win that one is if they had a 5100 instead of the IS-3, because as you said, just the tanks out of position were the bad thing. For that IS-3 was just, Materios was just completely unsupported for so long. He needed that support. Nippozoni just couldn't get himself in the right positions. The AMX 1390s too distracted by FreeFall's AMX 1390. So big congratulations to FreeFall taking the score to 2-0. Moving on to our final map, 5th map. It's going to be Himmelsdorf, but it looks like Denial are already leaving us here. So fair enough. They already know that they can't win. So the GGs are going to come out. That's okay with us. We can accept that one. But looking at that set of games, impressive stuff from FreeFall.
Really impressive. Yeah.
I think Denial, I think the worst thing for Denial for me, some of the execution wasn't great, but even when they had the advantage, Prokhorovka comes to mind, they didn't manage to push onto it.
No, they didn't push on. Normally, I would expect from an experienced team like Denial eSports to go a bit more aggressive, especially in Prokhorovka. They had a chance to get in the lead with a 1-0, and they didn't use it that well. Then on Cliff, they try, okay, we have to try something going around, split too much. Expected maybe FreeFall to play the defensive style like on Prokhorovka, but yeah, FreeFall didn't play that the defensive style. They pushed over, killed the tanks. Denial was totally out of position, and the same here on the last map on Mines. Also, the positioning was good. Denial had a good idea. Say, okay, we're going for the hill. We would win the hill fight, but FreeFall just, okay, we can't win the hill fight. Let's go for the IS-3s. And this was really the right decision. And yeah, the 1390s reacted a bit too slow from the side of Denial.
I think that was a killer. Yeah, Denali Sports have left the room. Our rules say you have to play the 5th map because it didn't go to a 3-0. If it goes to a 3-0, that's the end of the series. Obviously, Denial, they can't win this anymore as FreeFall is 2-0 up at this point, so it could only be a 2-1, so it'd be a loss anyway. But
yeah, but in the final table, if a team is on the same points,
precisely, then we go to the mini league. We look who's won against who's done the better results in that respect, who's won the most rounds, and that's why you want to be winning that last game. And actually, you know, top 6 places like we've had in previous seasons, that's come down to it in a few cases. In season 1, season 3 as well, and you know, as a team, you just want to be getting the wins. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you actually get the matchup done.
But I think this shows us perfectly how disappointed is Untitled eSports about the lose against FreeFall. And I think it's an upset that they lose it, especially 0, actually 2-0 or maybe 3-0 after Himmelsdorf. So yeah, I think that's really an upset for them. And yeah, everyone know Carmen. I don't want to be in the team speak of Untitled eSports.
I certainly do not. Yeah, that would be unfortunate. I think there's going to be some very big rages, but that's gonna wrap up our first game of today. Untitled eSports losing surprisingly to FreeFall, which hasn't had a particularly good run. They already lost in their previous matchup against was it School Bus?
FreeFall, yeah.
Yeah, they lost against School Bus already. So now we're moving to our next matchup, which is going to be Lucky Cracky, the Polish team, versus the Russian team, CIS team, School Bus. What's your opinion on going on to that one?
I think that after the brain behind the team was leaving, they're struggling a bit on the tactic-wise, but also before the players were really forced to do stuff. So now they can do a bit more their own stuff, trying to think about options, and they're a bit more on the creative side now.
Yeah.
Before they were just focused, you have to go there, you go to point A, you go to point B, you stay there, wait there, do nothing else. And now with Arklet as leader, the team have more impulses into the game, more creativity from the players is forced to use. So I think that could be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think Stalker really did lead that team with an iron rod, but it does look like Denial is going to be joining us in the match room and the match lobby again. So we will be able to see that last final map, Himmelsdorf. As we said, a very important thing for at least the end of the season, that you do get these wins despite having lost the matchup overall. So we're just going to be picking up the tanks these two teams take. In your opinion, is the triple AMX 1390 double IS3 better than the triple IS3 double AMX 5100?
You mean 35100?
5100 double IS3.
Yeah, I think 35100 is a bit better because you got more burst firepower, and yeah, you can defend better and attack as well better. The IS3 got the nice alpha damage, and you need 2 of them, but 3 is I think too much. I saw also setups with 4 IS3s in 15100, but then you can just defensive and wait for the enemy to come around the corner and do the alpha damage. But you can't really attack with IS3s because you have to drive around and then you get the damage, get focused out, blocking your other tanks. So I think the best choice is the 35100s to IS3s. Yeah,
you really do see the difference when a team just picks 2 5100s. Like the little amount of damage they do, it's quite big.
Yeah.
It really does make a huge difference, the change between those two. Yesterday we saw that triple IS3 couldn't quite just do the burst damage. It couldn't take down the tanks, and it does become apparent that the 5100 is a killer tank. The IS3 isn't. It's just for those pot shots. Exactly. You know, your 51 damage dealers, they could do 1.8k damage. An IS3 can only do 390, but the teams are ready. 3 5100s, 2 IS3s, double T1. That's for FreeFall, and the same's going to come out from Untitled eSports. Untitled eSports now 100% lost this matchup. Probably quite disheartened as well. Is that going to play a big factor, or are they just going to try and at least take one map?
I think they will play the normal stuff, but the morale is already broken. I think if FreeFall play a solid game, they will win it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a little bit too late for Untitled eSports to come back. FreeFall just need to keep a level head and make sure they go for the win. You know, not get too cocky, not too confident. As we said before, every single match counts. Every single match makes a big difference at the end of the season. Maybe not at the start. We're still in Super Week, still in the last day of Super Week. Obviously, next week we go on to our normal schedule, Monday and Thursday. So we're ready to get into our final and 5th map. It's going to be Himmelsdorf. So welcome back. This is going to be the final map. It's going to be Himmelsdorf now. FreeFall leading 2-0 against Untitled eSports. I know, who would have thought it? The Polish team, who'd done so well in previous matchups, just not managing to take it. Starting from the south, it's going to be Untitled eSports, and from the north, it's going to be FreeFall.
Yeah, and the question is, will FreeFall play aggressive, or they just playing the defensive style and waiting for Denial eSport? And if Denial eSport will just push aggressive, but no, it looks like there's a normal split in the beginning, at least for Denial eSport. FreeFall is going also for the hill side a bit more in the 8 line, so they leave the 1, 2, 3 line open. That's untypical. Normally, if you play from the north side, you go for the 1, 2, 3 line and trying to play a bit more on the open side here. But yeah, that's more or less the typical start for Denial eSport, and something special here from FreeFall. And I think FreeFall is now in a good mode. There's no, okay, we got it in our pockets, the win is ours. Let's try something, let's go, and yeah, do the 3-0. I mean, it's perfect for the morale if you beat a team like Denial eSport.
It would be great. I think that might be even the momentum they need to actually start getting those wins under their belt as you go through the season. You know, we're only in match day 2, 11 match days in total, so still 9 match days to go. They still need the momentum. They need to get these wins, and winning against Denial eSport is going to be one hell of a start for them, and they certainly can be proud of it. But I think these guys are going to try and make that a little bit of a painful process. Snip going forwards in that tier 1 is going to spot out Psycho Mike, that 50-meter proxy scout coming into the equation. Both these teams having a pretty standard start, apart from maybe FreeFall's affinity for that 8 line. I think for them, once they've seen what kind of maybe resources Denial is committed to the hill, they're going to rotate around, maybe go for the 8 line push.
Yeah, and now FreeFall is going a bit more defensive with the 5100. So I think they're afraid that Denial is with more than 1 tank on the hill. So Psycho tried to spot, and there's a spot, but he'd have to pay with life for the spot on Potomaco. And now they know, okay, they are tanks on the hill. And I think FreeFall should try to attack Potomaco because he's alone on the hill. They don't know it, but they have to expect it because they didn't spot anything else before. And they was also in a defensive position. So I think this time they miss a bit, intentional decision making like they had on the last maps.
Yeah, indeed. That's maybe going to be their downfall. Agenti just tried to land that shell onto Snip, but as you said, Potomaco takes down Psycho Mike, so great shooting from him. That was real clutch stuff. And tier 1s are so important on this map. They really do play a big role. I think we can all agree the biggest role of any map, the tier 1 is on this one, because I think about maybe 30% of the time this map is won by capping. So that's always very important to keep in mind. But now we can see the rotate off the hill from FreeFall, starting to send their tanks maybe to the 1, 2, 3 line. We've seen this from a lot of teams. A bit of aggression from the start on the hill, then they rotate around, they go towards the 1, 2, 3 line, maybe they go for a push, but at the end of the day I don't think FreeFall is gonna go for a push. I think maybe a little bit more aggressive, but they are 2-0 ahead. They don't really need to try anything. No. But then again, they got nothing to lose, so you can always look at it that way. Yeah,
and even if they draw this map again, it's 2-0. It's better than 2-1 if they lose it in the end. And I think they can try something, and I would like to see them trying something out to beat especially a team like Denial eSport also on a city map, because they only beat them so far on open maps. So that's also a different thing, how the heavy play is working out. I mean, FreeFall was in the first game of them, they played a bit better on the city maps, like on the open. And now I would say it's time to show that as well against Denial.
Yeah, it's time to shine for them. Morning Wolf now heading around to the A1 area, probably going to be on the flank to try and support the main firepower going forwards, but they are going to get spotted out really early on. The push from 1, 2, 3, I believe that's the IS3. They're also going to receive a lot of HP. Agenti already receiving 132. This is disastrous stuff from FreeFall. Looks like Denial eSport were in the perfect position. Materius already pushing around the IS3, and not a great start from them. How can they come back from it?
That will be really tough now. I mean, Denial is in a really good position, and FreeFall can't really escape from this area. Maturius is now coming from the side, and Agenti's dropping down to 350 hit points, and now running in Maturius, who is the next and waiting for him. That could be the last few seconds for Agenti, but Bulky is helping him, supporting him. Maybe they can catch Maturius and even the hit point score a bit, but yeah, Maturius is already mouse tricking there in a good position. Bulky gets one shell back, and yeah, he already have to save Agenti.
And Potomaco and the rest of Denial eSports starting to head up. Carmen Snip going to go for the cat. Wilkie does head around, and that cat pressure does come on, but I don't think it's going to last particularly long. Materius actually only tracking Wilkie there. That might be actually the point of that. I have to wait and see, but Butcher, Neopazorni starting to get themselves in the right position to deal the damage against Wilkie. But Wilkie getting so lucky in the iron streak, bouncing the second shell, does finally receive some damage, 385. Yeah. But Agenti, he does get away. I don't know. He got away with that scot free, and he was also spotted. But look at the damage FreeFall has received.
Yeah, and now, I think there's no chance Denial will lose this round. Meteorus is low on 350, but yeah, Zampa is already dead. Wilkie's on 700, Agenti on 350, 700 for Everson as well. Only Morning Wolf is on 1,400, and yeah, there's a push. Nis Personi is going in. You know, maybe will finish Wilkie, but no, he missed, unlucky. But still, from the hit point advantage, there's no chance, I think, how FreeFall can come back in this game.
Yeah, Wilkie now going low. Finally does get dispatched by Zenith in that 5100. He'll have to rotate a little bit because Everson does look like he wants to peek around. Butcher's going to be on the preparation though. Does take 339 HP. Second shot will take him down. Third tier 8 tank going down. Fourth even. Morning Wolf, the only one left in the 5100, and he's going to fall any second now as Nia Pazon in the IS3 comes round. Potomako finishes him off, bringing the score 2-1 for Denial eSports, and a good way to at least end their series with a win.
Exactly.
But then again, it's still a win for FreeFall, 2-1. I think FreeFall not just made the mistake, and Denial eSports just reacted onto it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, they were get spotted on the hill, the T1 was killed, and then both teams react and going for the left side. And in this time, Denial read the game a bit better, had the better position, so the timing was better. They were already in position as FreeFall started the push, so they were not a bit late or a bit too early. They were just in time in the position, could shoot them easily. They're losing around 800 to 1,000 hit points for nothing. They didn't get a single shell back. And then even Meteorus, who went a bit too aggressive in from the side, he flanked a bit too early, I think. Could escape going back, and then Agenti also escaped in this, but yeah, Wilkie get also a lot of damage. So all in all, it was good and well played by Denial eSports. Finally, they show that they also can play World of Tanks really well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the doubts were coming into our mind in those games, and honestly, a surprise result here in Matchday 2. Massive congratulations to the Finnish team FreeFall, proving that they are definitely one of the teams to watching out for, maybe even a dark horse as we do progress through the season. But that's the Matchday, the matchup over between Denial and FreeFall. 2-1, the final scoreline. Our next matchup will be Lucky Karaki, the Polish team, versus School Bus. Thoughts?
I think it will go in favor of School Bus. But yeah, I mean, also we expected that FreeFall have really a chance against Denial. So don't underestimate Lucky Karaki.
Could be a day of surprises. We have to wait and see. And to be honest, Lucky Karaki did a good job against Virtus Pro. Ensk does come to mind, and they look like a stronger Lucky Karaki than we've ever seen before.
That's true.
So honestly, we'll see what happens there, and I think it's going to be an interesting set of games. But that's the first section of the first matchups over. Lucky Karaki, as I said, School Bus next up. After that, it will be C-Play versus Virtus Pro. So still plenty of action for the Wargaming.net League Season 4. But we're going to take a 5-minute break. Melly's not here just now. She's indisposed. I think she's got a horse jumping competition or something like that. So we're not going to be seeing her. But do head over to twitter.com/WGLEU and facebook.com/WGLEU. Tweet at us, post to us, let us know who you think is going to win the next two matchups, specifically School Bus versus Lucky Karaki, as I said, is going to be the next one. So it's going to be an interesting set of games. Personally, we're going for School Bus. But what do you guys think? See you in 5 minutes.